option. We need to avoid the crash, and we need to stick with that. But as their fatalities and numbers go down and ours go up, it's like waving a red flag. Hey, look at us. And when the bureaucrats, the safety crats do look at us, well, what are we going to do? And they find out that motorcyclists involved in crashes, there's an overrepresentation of alcohol involvement. Improperly licensed or unlicensed riders are also overly represented. So they say, what can we do about this? Well, we want to make sure they're not drunk. We want to make sure they got a proper license. How do they find out? Pull over and have a chat with you. And a lot of jurisdictions are actually pretty friendly in this regard. Once they find out you got an endorsement, thanks, just checking, keep speed down a little bit, or whatever, send you on your way. We aren't advocating or condoning that. We're not saying we like that. We don't like the concept of being targeted. However, as a people, as a community, it's not a bad way to go. An easy way for us to avoid this is what? If we police ourselves and take care of this problem, it takes the wind right out of their sails. There is no argument then. If we control this and our numbers go down, we're not a target anymore. They'll move on to professional drivers or pickup trucks or whatever the next category happens to be that's a problem. So we can take care of a lot of this ourselves just by doing the right thing. So responsibility is going to be another key today. Responsibility as far as safe riding, not riding impaired. The other thing that I'm sure Emery's going to talk about, and if he's not, somebody will ask a question in his breakout session, probably the most divisive issue in the motorcycling community today is what? Noise, loud pipes. What do loud pipes do?
Save lives.
Save lives.
Risk drugs.
Save lives. Yes, tastes great, less filling. It's an argument. It is our abortion issue. It's very divisive, and the people in our community feel very strongly one way or the other. There's not a lot of in the middle. How many of y'all have been out on a street corner and had some car go by with a what do you think? What do you think or what do you say? Turn that shit down. So what do you think the people in their neighborhoods say when somebody with drag pipes roars by, maxing out the rev limiter?
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what. Okay, this side, what do they say? Cool. This side. So, we ain't gonna tell you not to drink. What we're gonna do is suggest you separate drinking from riding. We aren't gonna tell you to not have loud pipes. That's up to you. I've got an old Ironhead Sportster. I don't ride it anymore, but I still have an old Ironhead Sportster with drag pipes, and every once in a while it's fun to hear it cackle. But don't do it at 3 in the morning, when your neighbors are trying to sleep. Yeah. Drunk when you're leaving the bar. Little common sense, a little respect. Let's ride responsibly, and we'll address a lot of these issues. So we're going to keep hammering some of that, and we want you to try to do the same thing. When I say hammer, it's just repetitive. We're not really preaching, and we don't want to try to shove this down somebody's throat because that don't work, especially not with our people. But we want them to understand why it's important to at least consider these things. And to that end, we've done some things like non-alcoholic beer tastings to let people know there are alternatives. You can still drink and not necessarily have to get a buzz. Drink the NA options that are out there. Some are pretty tasty. Maybe that's not for you. Like I said, use some moderation in how loud you are, when and where you are. But we've got to keep doing positive things. Another thing that we're looking at, and I hear this from a lot of folks, look around the room. We ain't got many youngsters in here, and please don't take exception. I'm not trying to imply that anybody's old or anything. I don't think we got too many people in here under 30. I think that's a pretty safe one. There ain't too many people in here under 30. There ain't too many people in here under 50.
Hey!
Too many. Hold the beach balls till later. You may need them. So we're continuing to try to grow the future of who we are. We not only want to preserve motorcycling for future generations to make sure that they have the option, we want to cultivate that interest. With these damn PlayStations and all the stuff that kids got now, they aren't real excited about a lot of stuff that we did when we were kids. You go to like a Pee Wee football game or anything lately? These kids are sort of drag-assing around out there. I don't know what drives these kids, but they're not motivated. All we wanted when we were kids was a mini bike or a dirt bike to go out and tear things up with. Kids now, really, they just sit on the couch and play like they got a dirt bike with weed. So we've got a challenge in front of us. We've got to promote motorcycling. When you came in the front at registration, you saw we've got the bike there with the TV screens all over it. We continue to take that out to fairs, health fairs, safety expositions, schools, things like that. Try to send a positive message to get kids involved. At the state fair and a couple other places, did you see the little table we had set up over there with the toys on it? I got a 3-year-old son, and if he could, he'd have Handy Manny on the TV 24 hours a day, 7 days.
Hit the road.
Manny's got loud pipes. Come on, Manny.
Let's switch out the tailpipe.
He wants to put loud pipes on it. It's what everybody does when they get a bike. And the stereotype continues. Anyway, Handy Manny is one of the hottest cartoons out there right now. Kids are into him like you wouldn't believe. We had this thing at the state fair. Kids would come up and play with it, and they were like screaming, throwing fits when it was time to leave. So we're finding ways to try to reach out and get kids thinking about motorcycles. Handy Manny's got a 1-hour episode, Handy Manny's Motorcycle Adventure. Him and his talking tools go on a family reunion on the bike and sidecar. So kids at least are going to be exposed to that. We need to capitalize on that whenever we can to get kids thinking about it. Probably the next thing we're going to do is put together a kids' activity sheet. It's like a coloring book and some connect the dot type stuff. And we want to have a bingo thing on there that they can take as a travel bingo. When my daughter was just a couple years old, she was fascinated with school buses. So you're just driving along the road, school bus, school bus. Anytime there's a school bus, she'd say it. I don't always notice school buses. Probably should. It's a big yellow truck. Probably should, but if you're not looking for it, you may not see it. Well, she's looking for it. Well, guess what? Mom and Dad ain't looking for who? Us. You know, awareness is still a big issue to us too, motorist awareness. So if we can get the kid in the back seat and start saying, motorcycle, you know, they're playing bingo. Red motorcycle, green motorcycle. Mom and Dad hear that stuff, and they become more conscious of it. So all of these are things we can do to build the sport, increase awareness, and give us a good public image. So we got to continue to work on that. Our reputation is very important to us. We're not changing who we are, not by a long stretch, but we're adapting as things change. And if we don't do something, there will be no future. So stick with that. Those are some of the things that we're going to continue to tie through the whole day. We'll keep coming back to some of those. Gina, would you like to come up and give us a few minutes on where